That very select company of actors portraying Batman is George Clooney, and I want to know when and where did you first get the idea, or when the greatness was thrust upon you to take this on? How did it happen?
Well, what happened was Val, who had replaced Michael, had a conflict of schedule. He was doing The Saint, and the schedule was going to run over. And so they needed to find Batman. And Larry Storch wasn't available, so they offered it to me.
They went for the eyebrows.
Yeah, they did. They went right after the eyebrows. Actually, I'm the first gray Batman, which I think is key.
Interesting. And also the strongest jaw.
Oh, yeah, I have this. It's from the side. It looks normal from the front, but from the side, it's like that. Yeah, it was Joel came over to my house and said, "Do you want to play Batman?" And I said, "You mean be part of the biggest franchise ever?" Sure.
Yeah. He's pretty hard to say no to, isn't
he? Yeah,
he?
he is. Yeah. He's such a sweet guy, too.
Now, I suppose you, like all the rest of us, as a little boy, jumped around the house with a cape on, playing Superman or Batman?
I have a picture of me 3 years old in the Bat costume.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, who would have thought?
I got out of it like a year ago, though. I stopped.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, aren't you still a little boy now with
Sure.
a chance to do this on a big way?
Well, that's what being an actor is in a lot of ways, is kind of that, you know, not really growing up kind of Peter Pan thing anyway. But this is the funny one, though, because at the time I was 35 years old. I'm now 36, but you know, you're 35 years old and you're in front of a mirror in this outfit, and you there's that moment where you go, uh-oh, what am I doing? I'm an adult.
Yeah, this is not a homemade costume anymore.
No.
And it's heavy.
Oh, it's miserable. There's no question about it. But and all those guys are absolutely right. Michael and Val have both talked about it and said how brutal it is. It is brutal. But at the end of the day, you get to be Batman. So it's like labor pains.
Well, compounding the problem is you're shooting in studios a lot under lights.
Yeah.
And I imagine lots of lights.
Yeah, there are quite a few lights. You got lights everywhere. Yeah. Arnold had a light in his mouth. He had to wear a piece that had a blue neon, and it fit inside his tongue.
Interesting playing to an actor like that.
Yeah, that's fun. When he spits when he talks, then when he does.
One of the nice, unexpected things about this picture is the bond, the devotion that we are allowed to see between you and Alfred.
Isn't that fun? I love that.
Did that develop naturally, or was that imposed later, or was that part of the original?
It was part of the script, and I love Michael, who plays Alfred. I love him. He's just one of the sweetest men. I think he's 134. I think he just turned 134 this year. And we got to be just absolutely great friends. And I'm very lucky to get a chance to work with people like Michael. And I was, and in the script was a really wonderful kind of Arthur storyline, and I loved it. And I loved the chance to be able to do that with him.
One thing I love asking people who are in movies that have this sort of lavishness to them like this, are you ever tempted to maybe take one of those batarangs home with you?
Oh, you want them. Believe me, but there are security guards there. They come over and they stand there and they go, "Okay, and here is the batarang," and they hand it to you. You go, "Thank you," and they go, "Action," and you fire the thing off, and then the guy stands there and goes, "Now give me back the batarang."
No.
And, oh yeah, they're right there. Sure.
Like Walmart, they punch your ticket.
That's exactly. You get punched. So I got punched several times.
However, what prop would you have made off with? Could you have?
Well, might as well go for the ultimate one. You got to take the Batmobile.
Yeah.
That's the one. Let's face it. If you're going to steal the Batmobile.
And what was the biggest set that you were in during this whole thing?
The biggest set was the opening in the museum, the dinosaur set. It's the stage. It's stage 16 where they shot the last scene in Casablanca. That whole last scene in Casablanca, which is the airplane,
right.
and that was all shot on a stage, not outside. And the plane was actually...
It was a cutout, right?
Yeah, it was a cutout. And they got little people to play crew members so that the plane looked bigger and in forced perspective. And they shot that all on this giant stage. And this set, the museum set, this dinosaur is actual size Brontosaurus, and it looked like a toy inside the set. The set was the biggest thing I've ever seen in my life.
You want to do this again?
Sure.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Who decides that?
Ultimately, whether or not the movie makes money is what decides that. You make a sequel if the movie makes money. These aren't little independent films. This is big budget. There's no apologies. You see every cent up on the screen, but it's big.
George, on behalf of all of us who have had our childish fantasies of being a caped crusader. Thank you
Hey.
for putting on that cloak for
It
us.
was fun.
Pleasure talking to you. We're talking about,
too.
of course, Batman and Robin here in Los Angeles. I'm John Tibbetts for KCTV5.